Welcome to Vivid Talk Live. I'm your host, Gwen Witherspoon. I am the Principal and Chief Visionary Officer of Adam Red and Atlanta Branding Agency. I'm a brand strategist and a Better Life Coach. Vivid Talk Live is all about your personal and professional development. I am here to help you learn a fresh way of thinking and doing for all you were designed to build. I am streaming live to Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. You can watch the stream from those channels and on my website at gwenwitherspoon.com. Replays are available there as well as on IGTV and Twitter. Make sure you follow your favorite channels so you'll receive notifications when I go live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, in this episode, I want to help you understand that everything you are is what's needed in the marketplace. Your outlook, your personality, your passion, they are all needed because you are your brand. Please introduce yourself in the comments. Your questions are welcome. Katrina and Ron are helping monitor the chat. Thank you so much for joining, and please share the link to invite your friends. Tell them about the replays, and we'll get right into it right after this. I always had to remind myself to let you know about my website. So I want to make sure you know where to find all the basic information about me and the show. Hey, Nedra, you can go to gwenwitherspoon.com. You are going to get the live stream. It's saying it's unavailable. I hope that's not true. Oh, you know what? I might need to reload it. Let's see if that'll work. But you'll see the live stream for the show every Wednesday. You will also see the replays from the week prior. The big one is the week prior, and the others are all right there in one place. You can also find them on all your favorite channels on Facebook, on YouTube, Periscope, Instagram, all of those. So whatever floats your boat, you can find it. And then you can also contact me directly on my website, gwenwitherspoon.com/contact. If you have any questions that we don't cover during the show, or even that we cover and that you want to give me some comments, you can definitely contact me there. There's also a store. I always forget that too. So let's go there real fast. There's a store where you can purchase assessments. You know, I'm always talking about you and your personality and who you are. And so I have a few favorites that I sell on my website. My Flip Productivity System, which I talked to you about, with helping you write your vision, and even learning my systems as you learn how I approach learning and development. You can find those tools there to help you actually put into practice those things that we talk about here on Vivid Talk Live. Now, also, I want to make sure that you follow me on social media. Of course, that was the wrong one. Follow me on social media at Gwen Fuchsias on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, and Gwen Witherspoon Coach on YouTube. Whew, okay, I got that done, so I won't have to worry about. Well, I'll do it again later. I'm gonna remind myself, right? I'm gonna be good at about following through on that. But listen, tonight, I recently watched. You know how you have your favorite people on social media, on YouTube, and I am online so much throughout the day that oftentimes I am really just kind of happening by all of my favorites, right? So I kind of appreciate that YouTube. One way, it's kind of creepy that they know all of our habits and they automatically feed you content. But on the other side, it is convenient when it is something that you want and when it is something that really does hit home with what you need to hear at the moment. And so there's a gentleman that I listen to regularly, well, starting to listen to regularly. I'm not regular enough because I can't remember his name. Sorry, but but I've been listening. And recently I was watching one of his videos, and he talked about seeing someone else that he admired talking about himself, like he created this special way of kind of writing his own bio. And I know that writing a bio is probably one of the most difficult exercises that any of us can ever undertake, because it's so difficult to talk about yourself. We're all taught that we're not supposed to brag. You're supposed to be humble. And so if you are seeming to think too much of yourself, oftentimes that we think that we're being braggadocious, right? And so we don't want to have anybody misconstrue anything we say. Most people don't want to say too many good things about themselves. But in this instance, what was so cool, he said this particular gentleman created this really unique way of introducing himself to people, and it included all kinds of things, like it really dissected or highlighted how he thought in so many different, he kind of showcased the segments of his brain, and it was just really fun things that help you really dig into this particular gentleman's psyche. And what I loved that he got out of it was, he said, it gave me permission to be myself. Isn't that wonderful? And it made me think of a time, I've been at one point in my life, really for 20 years straight, I was really heavily involved in founding and developing and building churches. And so I got in that process, I got introduced to, or an opportunity to hear from a lot of really prominent ministers across the country. And it was really like the who's who, and it was great. Many of them were on the come up. Some of them were giants in the faith. And through the entire process, you get a sense of that person's essence and the just the gifting on their life. And I mean, it was really exciting. And it's always exciting when somebody steps up and they're like at the top of their game, right? And so I remember this one time I had an opportunity to be in a service that was led by Tim Story. And I will never forget it, because he made me feel the same way. I watched him, like, he would pray for people. And, I was used to seeing ministry lines and people, charismatic faith, right? So I'm used to people having their hands laid on. We had lines, people falling out, all that. I mean, that was commonplace. But what I loved was, in the middle of that scene, instead of just praying for people like normal, and just being super spiritual, he started dancing. Like, he was dancing and skipping in between, and he was talking, and then it was like breathing. And it was so cool, because he made me feel like I could be myself. And it was a divine gift. And I loved this idea to the point where I had to make it tonight's topic. I want to help you get to a place where you truly give yourself permission to just be yourself. I mean, think about it. It's really distracting when you can tell that somebody is kind of trying to wear somebody else's shoes, when somebody is stepping into something that's really not natural for them, right? Clearly, when you start to do something new, it's not always going to be comfortable. But at the same time, the most uncomfortable thing is to really watch other people try to be like someone else, trying to copy other people, trying to copy their speeches, trying to copy their mannerisms, trying to even physically steal their ideas. And, how liberating is it to just show up and be yourself? And, those are the people that we're really drawn to. Those are the people who we want to hear from, because it feels like they have something special to say. They may not be saying anything any different than what you have to say, but it's the way they're saying it, and it makes me giggle a little bit, because I am a poet. And I remember so many times I have said to my sister that I'm not dope, right? Because I look at other poets, especially Black poets. There are some powerful voices right out here. They are speaking about really serious topics, and they just stop you in your tracks. And I feel like I'm not dope because I'm not like them, right? I write about love and light and laughter and joy and happiness. And I don't feel like I am digging into any real deep, you know, political or social topics. I don't feel like my work is really, I don't know. I just don't feel like it's that it does that it hits people like that. And I've always admired that quality. But you know what? It may not be my destiny to be dope, right? And not to be dope in that way. I had some young people come to me. I think they were younger than my child. He's 35 or something. He's 34, 35, somewhere in there. I forget. It's it's been so many years, right? But I was performing at one of my last poetry gigs, and these two young people came up to me, and one of them said, "Oh man, you are so dope," and I was grateful because I was like, "Really?" Right? And so you may have something like that as well, where you feel like you just don't live up to whatever standard you may have set for yourself, or some quality that another person may have, right? But that's okay, because who you are, the way you are, is enough. I think I said that last week or the week before, who knows? But who you are, what you have, what you've done, all of it, it's enough. And we need you to show up as yourself. We don't need you to be like anybody else. And just because you see something going on in the marketplace where people are making good money from it, and they seem to be doing well, and people seem to be really really leaning toward it and really going after it hard and really buying in, and you don't feel like you're getting the same kind of buy-in, the temptation is to try to do what you see them doing. And I think you definitely can learn from what they're doing, for sure. You can dissect it and you can figure out, well, what is it that's attractive about that? What is it that's attractive to you? Right, Ron? Just show up. You got to show up, but you got to show up as you, because that person is already themselves. They're already doing what they need to do. And we need you. We need your flavor, what you bring to it. And you think about it. You need to cut through the noise. And if your voice sounds exactly the same as somebody else's, you can't cut through, you know? Of course, as I've done this show and I've shared some of my insecurities around it with you, you know, I was actually, I think I said to Katrina at one point that, you know, I don't really interact. I don't know how to interact, or I don't think I can interact as easily and as comfortably with people in a live platform like I see so and so, or like I see so and so. And what I'm learning as I'm doing it is I'll get better as I do it. But if I just continue to compare myself to so and so and so and so, I'm always going to come up short in my own estimation. You know, no one else said that to me. I made it up for myself. And I think that's one point I want to make too, is the thing that you think you are missing is probably not the same thing that anyone else is judging you on. You are the one who's saying that about yourself. And what we need you to do is to let go of all of that and just be the version of yourself that you were intended to be, because you are the most interesting person in the room, really. And I love, there is a quote I want to share with you. Have you ever heard of Iris Apfel? She's a delight. I love this. If you're not interested, you're not interesting. Isn't that fabulous? If you're not interested, you're not interesting. And so what I want you to remember from that quote is your outlook. Right, Ron, somebody needs what you have experienced. Someone. And I think I also mentioned before, Katrina said that she had heard somebody say that there are people out there whose ear is tuned to your voice. And so if you're not speaking, then they're not getting what they need. And so your perspective, your outlook, who you are, the things you care about, what you're interested in, that's what people want to hear. That's what people need to hear. And so if you're going to be interested, right, you need to care. You need to be concerned. You need to, and you need to invest yourself in the things that you care about. And you can't be worried about whether somebody else thinks that thing is frivolous. Another thing that makes me smile, I am interested in dollhouse miniatures. Ooh, if I could pull down my paper, if I pulled it up, you would see some of my miniatures behind me. And they just make me happy. They bring me delight. They give me joy. And there's absolutely no real apparent reason for it. It's really, I can explain it. I can make up an explanation. How about that? But it makes me happy. And what I realize is at some point, I'm going to get back to using my miniatures to share my perspective, using my miniatures to inspire people, using my miniatures to change the world, right? And you may have something silly like that. It's silly, right? I think that there are three things that I absolutely love that are what I feel like are dying art forms. One is miniatures, two is poetry, and the other is crochet. Like, can you imagine? I love all those things, and I'm interested in them. And you know what? I see all kinds of stories popping up around this as signs to me to help me remember that, not to forget that, for me to remember to invest my life in that and invest my joy in it, because those things, I can use those things to change somebody else's life because I'm interested in them. If you're not interested in it, you wouldn't be able to use them the same way, right? And so there's things about that you care about that other people. I know Nedra, Nedra manufactures products. I don't know anybody who thinks the way she does. Anything you need, she can create a product to solve that problem. So she's interested in that. And so we need her to invest that in the earth. And what about you? What are you interested in? The very things. I don't care if anybody else is talking about it now. I don't care if it's dying as a business, because you might be the one person who can resurrect it. There was a company I saw on CBS this morning, the Sunday show. We love seeing the stories about people. And they were talking about a business that a modern 21st century business within the last year, I know I've seen the story, that is making their money selling vinyl records. And they are investing in high level, high quality graphic design for all of the packaging and the marketing and promotions, like back in the day when I was studying graphic design before it was done on computers. And so you can't tell those men that nobody wants to buy vinyl, because nobody was buying vinyl, right? But they started a business because they were interested in it, and they felt like there was a place for it still in the marketplace. So they figured out a way to make it profitable, to make it cool. So that may be you. And then this is the other thing I want you to remember too. Don't stop worrying about how much money you can make. Because if you become the expert in that area, and you become the one that people are going to for whatever it is that you have to offer, then you can get to a place where you could almost name your price and people would pay it. I mean, I keep thinking of other instances, but I'm not going to go into too many more. But just, you have to be interested, because we need the way you see the world, the way you write. I mean, I think of Intisaki Shange, and just the style of her writing was so contrary to everything that was in, yes, Ron, do what you love and the money will come. But her writing style is so contrary to everything in the literary world, yet it's fire. So I'm sure someone at some point told her that her work didn't live up to whatever standard that was set. And I want you to be a standard breaker, right? Or a standard creator. You create your own standard. And I think it is important for us to know what industry standards are, I think it's important to investigate. That's where where it comes to be in what it means to be interested. If you're interested, you're going to be investigating, you're going to be researching, you're going to be looking and for new experiences and trying new things. And that is going to yield a body, a library of information that you can use that can inform how you show up in the world. And that's what we want. That's what everybody wants. But again, I was going back to the standards. We want to know what industry standards are. It's like we want to know history so we don't repeat it, or so that we can repeat the good things in history that we've learned. And so standards are important, but they're not everything. And standards, also studying what other people have done, also gives you an opportunity to see a gap, to see a hole, to determine, oh, I'm going to go that way instead. Everybody's going this way, I'm going to go that way. I talked to another entrepreneur probably about a year ago as well, and he was looking at a certain industry, and everybody was offering the cheaper options. I think it was in transportation, and so Uber, and Lyft had shown up on the scene, and they were driving down the cost of the price for travel, for taxi service, and all of that, the rideshare, with the rideshare revolution. And he was involved in this transportation industry, and he decided, instead of going that route, trying to provide the cheapest service possible, he said, I'm gonna go the other way, and I'm gonna create a high-end service. So I'm gonna go after corporate private car service people and charge hundreds of dollars, rather than just going after the general market and trying to compete on price. And so you may do the same thing. You may decide that you're going to do the same thing when you go ahead and investigate, right? When you just dig into the thing that you're interested in, and that one little idea, it could be so powerful. You don't know um, how that one thing, you going down that one direction, can really set you apart and help to define like who you are. Um, so your outlook, how you see things, think about it. The people that you want, whose opinions you want to hear, why do you listen to them? You listen to them because they have a clear voice, because they have a clear style, because they have a solid, strong, what I like to call vivid message, right? Because you know where they stand. Even like Ron loves to listen to people on both sides of the political spectrum, and I often say, why do you want to listen to them? But he said he wants to listen because he wants to hear what everybody's saying. He wants to know on all sides of every issue, what are people talking about. And but what's interesting though is the voices that stand out in the middle of all of that are the ones that have a really strong, clear message. You may hate their message, but but they are strong and clear, and they have a very defined brand, because you know where they stand. And so whether it's positive or negative, the bottom line is we want to get to that place. People know generally what your brand stands for. That's what you need. That's your outlook. And then your personality. Oh my gosh, I can't say enough about that, because everybody else may be showing up, in suits and ties and skirts and heels, right? And you may not be that kind of person. That may not be how you dress. That may not be how you want to show up in the world. But make enough money and you can show up any way you want to in the world. Look at Mark Zuckerberg, notorious for showing up in t-shirts and jeans. And then look at Steve Jobs, back before he passed, he was known for his black turtleneck. And, just clearly there are circumstances where you need to dress up, or where you need to dress a certain way, or where it's more appropriate to create your version of dressing up. But for the most part, we want to see your style, your flavor, right? But now you need to put some effort into it, right? But I think you can define what that looks like. And when you do that, that also starts to help define your brand. Hey, Alexis, welcome. Good to see you again. But listen, your personality, and I love that Alexis has come. Alexis has a very definitive, defined personality. I know when I come to her, I'm always going to get flavor at every level. Every word that comes out of her mouth is intentional and it's impactful, you know, because she's grown to the place where she knows who she is, and she just shows up the same way. She shows up with her own unique flavor. And that's what you want. We want your personality. We don't need everybody else's. You could be quiet, you could be introverted, but you could also, when you speak, your words can be very impactful. It can be wise. Your words can change people's change their emotional situation. It can change their condition. Like, your words are powerful no matter what. But if you keep them to yourself, if you're not interested and you're not developing, if you're not investing time and energy into becoming yourself, right? Into learning, into growing, then you're not going to be able to show up and give us the purest version of yourself. You know, I mean, and literally that's what we want. Think about the podcasts you listen to, the TV shows you watch, the personalities that are on, the videos that you're interested in, the sermons that you care about, the motivational speakers that really move you. What about them do you like? You like their personality. There's something about them that you can relate to, that you feel you learned from, but it's all about their personality. They're not going, some people, people are going to have, we're all going to have our factions, right? We're all going to have certain people that we really enjoy hearing from. Doesn't mean we can't learn from anyone else, but it means that those people have developed their personalities to a point where they have a clear voice, they have a consistent message, they have a consistent presence, and we want that. We want to be their friends. How many girlfriends do you have in your head? How many friends, male friends, are you aspiring that you want to be like? It's because of their personality. We don't need you to act like anybody else. We need you to be yourself. Okay. And then the last thing is, we need your passion. What do you care about? So back to my miniatures. I was talking with a business coach last year as well, and he was asking me about Adam Red, and so I was telling him about the services, and I was going through and just very clear, concise, logical, professional. I was like, yeah, like this and da da da. Somehow we got on the subject of miniatures, and I just lost my mind. Can you see my eyes kind of water a little bit when I talk about it? I get so excited. And so he was like, well, why aren't you just doing that? He was like, your whole countenance changed. You lit up when you started talking about it. And I was like, oh, I can't do it right now because I got to be a big girl and I got to be a responsible adult and go over here and do this other thing first. And so, and I do. And the other thing that I want to do, I love that just as much. I am passionate about it. But this miniature thing is like joy, love. It's everything. Like it's like where I can go play. And so I'm passionate about it. But because I'm passionate about it, like I said before, I can turn that into a way to minister to people, a way to train young people, a way to help older people to write their vision. Like, I can turn that into any number of enterprises, really unlimited, because and actually everything I'm doing now came out of that, came out of my passion for that, and because all those three things I told you were dying art forms. Oh, four. I got another one, billiards. I love to play pool. I love to play pool so much. My husband will not, but he don't even play pool with me no more. But maybe after the pandemic, I can get him to go with me. But I have my own stick. My son gave me one years ago. I drive it around in my trunk. I can't tell you the last time I played pool, but I love, 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 love playing it. And so those things I'm so passionate about them. It's not just a pastime, but I'm so passionate about those things that I can use them to make a difference for people. And so, do you think I'd stand out? You know, do I stand out? Do you think I'd stand out if I did those things? Like if I came up with some kind of educational training, like which I will, an entrepreneurial training program, and I use poetry, would I stand out? Of course I would. And that you got the same thing. It may not be creative in that way, but you have those things that you care the most about. You may be more, your thing may be more activism. You know, you might be woke because, like I said, I didn't feel like I was dope. I don't feel like I'm woke, but you might be, right? You may be those. You may be the epitome of those things, and so yours may be much more serious pursuits. It's just so important for you to figure out what that is and invest yourself in it. And I want you to allow yourself the opportunity, allow yourself the freedom to go ahead and pursue it and to investigate and to throw yourself into it without worrying about whether anybody's gonna like it, buy it, co-sign. Just do it. Just put yourself in the best position to learn and to grow and to invest because you truly are your brand. We started this whole thing talking about personal branding, and the key to personal branding is for you to understand who you are and just give yourself permission to be yourself, because that's what we need. That's what we care about, and that's what's going to solve the problem. That one problem you were born to solve, that's how you're going to be able to do it. You got to give yourself permission. That's all I've got tonight. I thank you so much for joining me. Remember to go ahead and follow Gwen at Gwen Fuchsias on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, and then Gwen Witherspoon Coach on YouTube. And I will see you next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for joining me.